Before we get to today's episode with Udonis Haslem, we want to introduce you to our newest partner, which, like us, is pure South Florida. That's Doral Toyota, where you can find all of your favorite Toyota models, whether you're looking for a new, used, or certified pre-owned vehicle. Doral Toyota is located at 9775 Northwest 12th Street. That's 9775 Northwest 12th Street, just a few blocks from International and Dolphin Malls. Experience the Doral difference, which means 4 years of complimentary maintenance and roadside assistance on all new vehicles. Also, in-house financing is available for credit-related issues. If you mention 5 reasons when you call 305-680-1129, that's 305-680-1129, or stop into the dealership, you work with a dedicated manager, not a salesman. Unlike other dealers, Doral Toyota prides itself on an honest and transparent buying process. That's Doral Toyota, DoralToyota.com, or stop in at 9775 Northwest 12th Street. Vamos, let's go.
A quick word on what you're about to hear from Udonis Haslem. There are a few curse words in this interview, so listener discretion is advised. And now, the Miami and Miami Heat legend, Udonis Haslem.
Welcome into a special episode of the 5 Reasons Podcast. I'm Ethan Skolnick here, as always, with Chris Whittingham. Thank you for finding us. If you're an Apple person, you can find us on iTunes, Android, Google Play, the best way to get us. And we are on multi-platform apps like CastBox, Podbean, and Stitcher. Now, we've been doing some Heat Stories episodes here on the podcast. We did one with Ron Rothstein, a couple with Eric Reed, Tony Fiorentino, Jason Jackson. And, of course, we constantly get requests for this guy. And before we bring you in here, Udonis, I want to throw this at you. We've got Udonis Haslem here with us on the line. I put up a poll yesterday on our Twitter feed at 5 Reasons Sports, and I asked for the most Miami athlete of the 2000s in any sport. Where do you think you finished?
Does it mean born in Miami or just an athlete that played in Miami?
Athlete that encompasses the spirit of Miami.
Encompasses the spirit of Miami, the real Miami, not the South Beach Miami. I would say myself.
That's what I voted. You'll never guess who was voted in first, though.
Who?
Dwyane.
Oh, that's my boy, though. So it is what it is. I mean, I understand how that goes, man. That's my boy. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, it is what it is, but, you know, make no mistake about it, man. We all know who city this is. They can listen. They can write what they want to write and say what they want to say, but when the sun go down and the popcorn get to popping, who they gonna call?
You, not Dwyane.
Exactly. And that's my boy. I love D-Wade to death, and it is Wade County. You know what I'm saying? But me and him already figured this out. He takes South Beach, I take Dade County. That's how that goes.
All right, so let's get to the beginning here with you, a little UD. Is there a story from growing up that kind of best encapsulates what that experience was like for you growing up in Miami? Is there one thing that comes first to mind for you?
Yeah, I remember growing up, you know, I used to stay in Lake Concern Apartments. Now they call it Crystal Lake. You know, this was in Carol City. I moved around a little bit, and I remember being at the park, and, you know, I got into it with this little kid, and he punched me in the mouth and ran and knocked my tooth out. And I couldn't find him. I was so pissed off I couldn't find him. He knocked my tooth out and ran, and I went home, and my tooth was knocked out. He saw me crying, and he told me if I don't come home, if I don't go outside and find that kid and kick his ass, if I come home, I'm going to get my ass whooped by him. I looked for that kid for 3 hours, and when I found him, I kicked his ass.
Did you ever see that kid again? I mean, have you seen that kid in recent years at all? Do you have any idea what happened to him?
I'm not sure. It's been a long time since then. We end up being friends. I mean, when you grow up, you know, in the inner city, you know, you and your boys, you disagree, you know, you fight a little bit, and then, you know, 2-3 days later, you back being boys again. You know, it's over with. That's common. You know what I mean? That's how we grew up. You know, that's how you know you're real friends. You know, your friendship is tested constantly growing up. So when you make it to 20, 25, 30, you know, you're real friends. You're like brothers by that time.
How many of the people that you grew up with, I mean, you mentioned that those are your real friends. I mean, I see the pictures on Instagram that you take with some of the people that you grew up with. How big is that circle? Because I know a lot of pro athletes, you know, they become famous, and obviously when you come to the mayor of the city like you have, that a lot of people sort of want to be around you. But how big is sort of Udonis's circle from Miami? How big do you keep it?
It's gotten smaller, but I know a lot of people. You know, I'm associated with a lot of people. I'm affiliated with a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? So I show love, and all this love is shown my way. But as far as, you know, my homeboys that I grew up with, you know, 20 years of, you know, real friendship, you know, it's gotten smaller. You know, a couple guys have moved away. Lost a couple guys that violence, lost a couple of people to incarceration. But I still got about a handful, of close homeboys that, I speak to, every day. And, we keep in touch with each other, and we all doing good things, big things. We keep each other encouraged.
How much is that characteristic, what you described of your dad instilling into you, all right, you have to go and take care of business? I feel like that's a very big part of your NBA personality, and frankly something that is becoming less and less common. So in terms of that experience and the experiences of growing up where you did, how much did that shape you in your basketball personality?
I mean, probably the majority of it, because nothing was ever given to me easy in this basketball world. My whole career has been, overcoming obstacles, overcoming odds, people not thinking I can do it, people not thinking I'm good enough, people challenging me, and me having to, accept the challenge head on and prove people wrong. So, there's no doubt in my mind that my upbringing has had a large part to do with the success I've had and who I am today, for sure.
So you're at Miami High, you're playing for Frank Martin. Frank's a different kind of character. Do you have one Frank Martin story?
Frank ain't for everybody, but he took a lot of inner city kids who weren't easy kids to deal with, and he molded us into men. People talk about a lot of negative stuff that happened at Miami High, but people don't talk about the fact that he kept inner city kids out of trouble, and he sent inner city kids to college, and that's the most important thing. A lot of us went to Miami High. It wasn't because Frank recruited us. He didn't have to go get us. The school recruited itself. If you wanted to be a great basketball player in the city of Miami, you wanted to play for the best, you wanted to have an opportunity to get out of the city, Miami High was the place to go. Frank Martin was like a father figure to a lot of us, man. To this day, he's still like a father figure to a lot of us, man. We would do anything for Frank, but definitely Frank ain't for everybody. I'll tell you that now.
What is your best Frank ain't for everybody story?
It's a lot of them, man. I mean, sheesh. One day we were practicing terrible, and he was just like, all you guys for instance, one day we were just having we won by 20. I can give you two stories. One day we were having a terrible practice, and he was like, all you guys just get the F out of here. Well, a lot more than that, but he was like, oh, y'all get out of here. So, we try to be responsible. He was like, nah, we're going to practice. So we start practicing. He leaves the court. We start practicing. 5 minutes later, the lights cut off.
Wow.
4 minutes later, security comes in and escorts us out of practice. And then it was another story where we were playing against Jackson, and we won by like 20. And he took us back to the gym and made us practice after the game and told us he doesn't care if our parents leave us and we got to walk home. So we had to practice after the game, and most of our parents stayed and waited, but that was just who he was. He wasn't going to let up on us, and that's what we needed. A lot of people think Frank is tough, but when you're dealing with inner city kids, which a lot of people don't have the opportunity or experience to, they need tough. They need tough love.
I want to talk a little about your journey at University of Florida. Can you talk about the time that you saved Mike Miller's ass in college? Because Mike has told me that story. I was wondering if you had a version of it.
You know what? It was me. I had taken a liking to Mike. The first time I saw Mike was we were playing this AAU tournament. I was playing with the Florida Flash. It was me, Keon Doolin, Clarence Gilbert, Tracy McGrady. We just had a dope team, and, we were sitting down, we were getting ready to play the next game, and I saw this team of all white kids, and I was like, they gotta suck. And then I saw this one guy that did everything. I mean, he rebounded, he brought the ball up, he had the corniest haircut I ever saw in my life, but he was a hooper. And I was like, yo, this kid can go. And I was like, this is like the unicorn, like the stuff you hear about but never see. Like, I know it's white kids out here like this, but we just never see them in Miami. So I was like, yo, this kid can go. And in my mind, I never thought that he would be my roommate or that he would be a friend of mine at the University of Florida. So I had already taken a liking to Mike, before that. Got to the University of Florida, we were suite mates, not roommates, we were suite mates. So basically we just shared a restroom, shared a bathroom together. He was dating his wife now. At that time, her name was Jenny King. And, Mike's from South Dakota, man. He ain't bothering nobody. All Mike ever did was play basketball. I mean, that's all he did. So he was dating this guy, and her ex-boyfriend was a football player. Guy had a problem with Mike. Mike never bothered nobody, man. And the guy had a problem with Mike, and I just told the guy basically like, yo, listen, you got a problem with him, you got a problem with me. And I ain't the problem you want, killer. Like, I ain't the problem you want at all. And, I probably added a little more into it, you know what I'm saying? But long story short, he left Mike alone. But I mean, but the one thing about me at the University of Florida, any college you go to, majority of the time, and I got along with a lot of the older guys at University of Florida as far as the football guys. When I first got to University of Florida, guys like Fred Taylor, I got along with a lot of the older guys that were there before me. The next generation that kind of came in, which was my class and the class after that, it started to be a little football, basketball friction. And of course, I was in the middle of the majority of it. And I just remember Coach Donovan calling me in the office. And he was like, yo, I just got a call from Steve Spurrier, and he asked me to keep you away from these guys. It's just like, really, it's like, It's like 60 of them. They all lift weights, and they want to keep me away from their guys. It's like, come on, man. Like, I ain't starting no trouble. I'm just finishing.
Well, you were a little different size at that point too, right, UD? I mean, that was before the slim.
It wasn't the size though. Either it's the mentality. Hit first and hit hard, killer. that don't change no matter how big or small you get.
All right. So after University of Florida experience, you go overseas, and so that had to be a bit of a jarring experience, but I know for you, it was an experience where you dedicated yourself to getting your body right, giving yourself an opportunity. What was the hardest part of that before the Heat ended up giving you a chance at Summer League?
The hardest part was just believing that I was actually in Europe. People don't even know. I couldn't believe I was actually in Europe. I didn't know where I would be drafted, but, a stellar career, winningest player in the University of Florida history at that time. Setting records in the national championship game, third team All-American. I've done a lot of stuff. I had a lot of accolades. So, the first thing I had to sink in was that, damn, I really wasn't drafted. The night I got to France, I drank a whole bottle of Hennessy down there, or at least 3/4 of it. You know what I'm saying? I'm just sitting on the back porch of my house, and I'm just saying, like, this ain't right. I ain't supposed to be here. You know what I mean? But I was supposed to be there. It was for me to kind of take a look at myself and kind of do some self-checking. I made a point to myself that I stayed on American time the whole time. I never got on French time. So I basically stayed up all night and slept pretty much during the day. And that was my mindset to say, like, okay, this is just a pit stop and I'm going back home.
Now, you mentioned staying on American time, but where in France were you? And did you take on board any French culture? Can you go now? Do you speak any? Or was it just purely I'm here to play basketball and then go back to the NBA?
I learned how to count my money in France. I learned how to count that check. You know what I mean? I definitely learned that. The euro was, bigger than the dollar at that time. And, my main concern was okay, how many euros am I making? What's the difference between the euro and the dollar? Can I take all these euros back in a bag and then change them over when I get home since they're more than the dollar? That was the conversation I was having with myself. It wasn't about France. They tried to send me to French class, and I took it for 2 days, and I went and told the team, yo, man, I'm here to play basketball. I'm not here to speak French. And I was the best player on the team, obviously, so it was like, what you going to do? But, when you're playing in Europe, they'll send you home. We had, they have the opportunity to have 2 Americans on each team. I was one. And we went through 3 other Americans, 2 or 3 guys that got sent home. If you're American over there and you're not performing the way they want you to, and they're not happy with you, they're sending you home and bring back another.
So after you're over there, you come back to the States, and I remember a little bit of this because I was covering the team at the time. Dwyane's drafted 2003. You're playing summer league ball. What was sort of your first interaction with the Heat organization at that time? When did you start to interact with Stan in particular? Because he was the coach of the team at that time. And when did you think, okay, I'm going to make this team? I'm going to stick this time.
I never really had a thought about it. I just was going to do everything I could, not have any regrets, and kind of hope it worked out. I had been in that same situation before with the Atlanta Hawks. Was the last cut, and they ended up keeping a guy that just had more experience. At that time, I think it was the guy Ira Newble, if I'm not mistaken. They kept Ira Newble instead of me. So I didn't want to put too much stock in it. I didn't want myself to get too up and have to be, put down or disappointed. So I just said, man, I'm going to lay it on the table and see where it goes. But I had already signed a contract to go play in Europe again, but this time I had an out clause in my contract where if I was offered a contract or signed by an NBA team, that they would let me out my contract. So my mindset was just, hey, man, you don't got nothing to lose. And, we all know the most dangerous animals are the ones that have nothing to lose with their back against the wall. So I ain't had nothing to lose. My back was against the wall. I was home. And I just go ahead and laid it on the line. Said, shit, if it's a brick wall is in front of me, I'm going to run through it. And whatever happens, happens.
So you make that team. That team starts 0-7 that year. I remember some articles, Udonis, that were written is this the worst team in the NBA? And then you guys end up turning it on, go 42-40, make it to the second round, lose to Indiana. A lot of people are really fond of that team. There are people who like that team better than the 3 championship teams that you were on. They just really related to that 2003-2004 season. Is there something from that season, one game, one situation, something about sort of your welcome to the NBA moment, anything that sort of, when you think of that group that you played with that year, that sticks out the most to you?
Togetherness, to have that kind of togetherness the way we had. We were all young, even our vets were young. Lamar was our vet and he was young. That was the thing that stood out the most to me, how much fun we had, how together we were. People focused on the record and we didn't like the fact that we were losing, but we came into practice every day with a good attitude. We pushed each other every day. We worked hard, and we made it a fun working environment. And everybody really, really enjoyed each other. You know, and that's rare in this league. You know, it's rare that everybody gets along, everybody enjoys each other. But you know, we had that with that team. And that was the thing that was most memorable about that squad, is that, you know, everybody really, really, really like hanging out with each other. You talk about Lamar was our vet. How old was Lamar at that time? Like 25 maybe? Talking about the vet on our team was maybe 25 or 26. You know what I mean? You know, we had other vets, but, you know, we talk about the guy who, you know, besides, you know, the older guys, the guy who, you know, we kind of gravitated to and the guy we kind of looked to a little bit was Lamar.
And Dwyane, I want to start here. I want to get into Dwyane with you a little bit because obviously you played with him on that summer league team. And I remember from being up in Orlando, UD, that LeBron was up there with Cleveland. And I remember them actually playing in the big gym, where a lot of the games were in the other gym, because there was so much media to watch LeBron at the beginning that I thought Dwyane, it almost got overlooked a little bit, even though he'd been the 5th pick in the draft. Was there a moment, a practice, a workout, a game, an exhibition where you realize he's really special?
People don't understand, me and Dwyane grew tight before we even played a game or summer league together. Me and Dwyane spent the entire summer together, you know, before summer league even started. You know, our days were starting off at the track at UM, back over to the arena for weightlifting and conditioning. Then we would work on our basketball stuff, you know, basketball drills, you know, all that basketball stuff. And then we would go eat lunch, relax a little bit. Then we would go back over to the arena and play pickup, whether it be at the arena or we would play at Overtime Youth Center. So me and Dwyane spent that entire summer together, you know, pretty much. And I knew he was special before he even played a game of summer league, just spending the summer with him. And the way we worked and watching some of the things that he was able to do. You know, I knew he was special from that point.
And where did your connection begin in terms of personally? Obviously, you've been together for more than a decade now, but the sort of bonds of that relationship, where did they begin, and how close are you guys? Would you guys say you guys are best friends? Like, how far along do you guys go in relationship building?
We beyond best friends. And I consider Dwyane as a brother. You know, the things that we encountered growing up are so similar. You know, we didn't know, I didn't know much about his story. You know, he didn't know much of my story, but my mom passed away, but she developed a relationship with his mom. And, you know, we both grew up in houses where drug addiction was an issue. You know, we both moved around a little bit. You know, we both overcame, you know, some odds that weren't in our favor. You know, we both had boys at a young age. You know, I had my son, Udonis, when I was in high school. You know, he had his son, Gator, at a young age. So, you know, it was just a lot of things that we related to, you know, as young men. And as we worked together and continued to grow together and continue to just talk to each other, we found out how many things we had in common. And, you know, it kind of just felt natural.
Is there a moment, Udonis, because obviously we've seen your relationship grow with him and how special it is when you get opportunities on the court together and him coming back this year. I think some people don't realize how generous Dwyane can be in a lot of different situations. I've experienced it myself. I know a lot of people have. Is there a story about Dwyane sort of coming to your aid in a situation that maybe a lot of people don't know?
I mean, obviously everybody knows the story about when I was going to leave, and, you know, he got on the phone with LeBron and he got on the phone with those guys and he was like, yo, we need this guy. We're going to win it all. And I think that says it all. And I think, you know, for me personally, if I'm not mistaken, I think LeBron was also on board, like, we need this guy to win. But I think it was the part about, obviously, the conversation had to be had about, you know, taking less money. You know, that's a whole different conversation. It's one thing to say we need this guy to win. Again, most guys, when they hear you got to take less money, like, oh, no, never mind. You know how that goes. So, you know, it was all that whole thing that went down.
As our guest today knows, for an athlete to be successful, it takes more than an individual. It takes a team. The same applies in business. That's why more small to mid-sized businesses in South Florida are choosing Greenlight Tech, the full-service concierge IT company that always gets it right. Greenlight Tech advises, monitors, supports, and keeps your important data backed up and secure. They'll even manage your vendors. Call Greenlight Tech at 561-325-9997. That's 561-325-9997. Mention 5 reasons and you'll get a free assessment. Sign up and your first month is free. Be unstoppable. Visit greenlighttech.com. That's greenlighttech.com. All right, so I want to go ahead a little bit now because you have that team in 2003-04. People fall in love with that team, but I don't know if you guys would have developed into a championship contender. I guess that's a question to ask you. Do you think if Shaq hadn't arrived, that team, if it had had 2, 3, 4 years, might have developed into that?
I'm sorry, say it again. It's funny you just said that. Dwayne just texted me.
Tell him to come on the pod.
Right?
Tell him to come on the
Crazy,
pod.
right?
He's next, UD.
You know, it would have been interesting. It would have been interesting. I mean, we had a good core group of guys. Obviously, saw Lamar, I think, went on to be Sixth Man of the Year or something like that in LA. So we had a good core group of guys, you know, and I'm sure that team would have been a playoff team. Who knows how far that team would have been if they won the playoffs, but I think, you know, you add a couple pieces and you continue to grow that team with the young stars of Dwayne and Lamar. And I think Karan at that time was coming back off injury. I think he started that season early injured. The late Rasul, you know, I think we had some pieces. So, you know, we keep, you know, that team together. You know, we're definitely a team that, you know, makes some noise in the playoffs.
All right, but so Shaq arrives. They have the big celebration. He's spraying everybody with a water gun outside of American Airlines Arena. To me, it elevated the franchise from a national perspective because the franchise had been successful in the late 90s. Obviously, you were aware of it. But then with Shaq coming, it wasn't just a Miami thing anymore. It was a national, international thing. That team and building towards the 2006 championship, do you have a Shaq story that you like to tell? Because I know you guys bonded too. You talk about you and Dwayne bonding, but Shaq really took to you right away. How do you think you earned his respect?
I mean, as hard as I played, you know what I mean? People, you know, talk about, you know, and I'm to death, you know, but I'm not, if I'm not mistaken. Well, I'm not going to say who because I'm not sure who wrote it, but I remember this article being written, and it was an article that was written that said Shaq had never won a championship playing next to a power forward that was smaller than. See, this is the kind of stuff people think are right. But he's never won a championship playing next to a power forward that was 6'8" or shorter. Mm-hmm. I'm like, well, what the hell? So that means because he played with Travis Knight that he's going to win a championship now? Man, I tell Travis Knight ass limb from limb. 6'12" or whatever he was. It don't matter. Like, so I'm like, yo, this is what people want with this. So immediately when Shaq got in, man, he immediately instilled confidence in me, like right away. Like, you can do it. You open, shoot it. You miss the first one, shoot it again. Whatever your game day routine is, if you had a bad game, don't change your routine. Stick to your routine. You know, Shaq was all about uplifting. You know what I mean? That's the first thing he did. You know, I'm not saying Dwayne wouldn't have been Flash or I wouldn't have the career that I had, but definitely Shaq coming in gave us a whole nother level of confidence that, you know, we didn't quite have at that time.
So that first year, you guys get close. Dwayne gets hurt in the Eastern Conference Finals. Maybe if that doesn't happen, you guys win a championship that year. But then Pat makes all those trades, and he brings in a totally different group. So I'm going to throw this at you, UD. Who was the craziest guy on that 2006 championship team?
Man, we had some wild boys. That's a great question. I don't even know. Listen, we worked hard and we played a little hard too. I really don't know. You know what, Ethan? That's on any given day. That answer could change. on any given day, that answer could change, and that's just the God's honest truth. You know what I mean? My guy White Chocolate. You know what I mean? My man Pose, Antoine Walker, Gary Payton, myself, and Anderson, Shaq. Honestly, if I say one person, then somebody else might get mad and be like, why you ain't say me? Remember this? Like, okay, yeah, you're right, you crazy. And I'll be like, okay, yeah, you're right, you crazy as hell for that. But, I mean, it could go on and on about, you know, those guys. But, I mean, once again, they showed us another side of the NBA. You know, me and Dwayne were green at that time. You know, we just played basketball, and basketball was our life. You know, they showed us how to kind of play basketball, win, enjoy it, and then enjoy what comes with basketball and, you know, have a little fun as well. You know, that was something that me and Dwayne weren't used to. We was green, we was young, we just played basketball and went home. A night out for me and Dwayne was probably going to movies and going to dinner or something. That was it.
That was not a night out for those guys, for sure. I want to take you to Dallas.
No, we had to learn. Well, every city we went to, Shaq had a party. It's like Shaquille O'Neal hosting a party. 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 Like, how you cannot go?
Well, of course, you have to go. Is there any, like, sort of off-the-court craziness stories from that 06 team that you kind of remember the best?
And can tell, of course.
Right, of course.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun, man. Every day was something different, man. Every day was something different, man. But, you know, for the most part, you know, big fella run around and bear hug people butt naked, and you just try to take off and run from them. You know, one thing I learned from Shaq, man, is he learned how to, you know, just make an NBA season not seem so long. You know, every day he came in with a joke. Every day he came with a prank. Every day he came in uplifting people. You know what I'm saying? That was one thing. He was just fun to play with and fun to be around.
So I want to take you to Dallas, 2006. You guys win the championship on the road after being down 2-0 in that series. Ron Rothstein was on and told us a story about the locker room after going down 0-2, and Pat was basically like, we're going to win the championship on this date, and writing it on the board. He's like, if anybody doesn't believe me, walk out right now. And Ron wanted to walk out of the room. What was that feeling like for you personally with your personal journey, having to come from overseas to win that title? What were the first thoughts in your mind after winning that first championship in 2006?
I mean, I just thought about all the articles that were written, everybody that doubted me, everything I had to overcome. The article that was written about a guy that, said that Shaq has never won with a power forward my height. Another article was written by a local guy in Miami that, once the Heat signed me, even though I was undrafted free agent and they signed me, I hadn't played one game, hadn't done anything. And this was when Lamar and those guys was here before we got Shaq, kind of like, dogged me a little bit and threw me under the bus. And I'm like, okay, you the same guy who used to cover me in high school. And you told me I was great for you. I was great in high school when you covered me. I ain't played a game for the Heat and you already kicking dirt on me. So it was just a lot of things that, were going through my mind at that time. Obviously not being drafted when I thought I was better than some guys that were drafted. I just felt like I always got the short end of the stick a lot of times. So that was my chance to be on top. The underdog finally got to be on top. So for me, it was just it was a lot of emotions and like a 1,000-pound weight lifted off my shoulders. And to be able to do it for my city, I'm saying? I'm going home to my city, to my homeboys, to my family, to the people I grew up with, to those are huge for me. It was a lot of emotions.
We'll continue with Udonis Haslem in a moment, but first, I want to tell you about our sponsor, Soccer Zone Indoor, one of the coolest places to play indoor soccer in South Florida. Host pickup games in one of their 3 pitches with top artificial turf. You can also host parties there in one of their 3 party areas. I was following them on Instagram, and I saw they're having some great parties there for World Cup matches, including for the Mexico win over Germany. It looked awesome. Great place to go and watch the games. You can also sign up for coaching and training while you're there, centrally located on the corner of Miramar Parkway and Flamingo Road, so easily accessible from just about anywhere in South Florida. A 20,000 square foot facility, wall-to-wall air conditioning, and flat screen TVs, and a projector to watch games. So here's how you contact them. 954-450-6010. Again, that's 954-450-6010. Or you can find them on social media at Soccer Zone Indoor. That's Instagram, that's Snapchat, and the various other social media platforms, including Facebook. Tell them 5 Reasons sent you and get 50% off field rentals, birthday parties, and merchandise. That's Soccer Zone Indoor.
So 2010, LeBron makes the decision to come down. As you mentioned, Dwyane makes the pitch for you to stay, for how important you were going to be. Everybody takes less money so it can happen. I remember you coining the big 3 and the little 12 and going with that during that season. The little 12 kept changing. The big 3 stayed the same. But it wasn't all easy, especially at the very beginning. With all the expectations, Memphis, you get hurt. What were the thoughts at that time, and how frustrating was that season for you as you're watching this team that was supposed to be so great struggle at times without you?
I mean, I thought I broke my foot. That was the first thing that I thought was, man, I broke my foot. So, that was my first thought. I really didn't know what kind of injury I had, but, it was difficult. We had anticipated this, and, people don't realize that was just a long summer for me. I lost my mom, and I had been arrested. And then I got injured, so that was a long off season and a long season for me. So I had to overcome a lot of obstacles. So, at that time, it was hard watching those guys play, but, basketball wasn't my main focus at that time. It was life, Like I said, I lost my mom. I've been arrested, hurt my foot. It's an injury that I'm not used to. It's an injury I've never heard of. Will I be able to play again? So all the while I'm watching, I'm rooting for these guys, but I'm also having my personal dilemma that I'm dealing with as well.
And then we find out in Boston, I remember Pat tapping you on the shoulder saying you were going to play tonight in Boston during the playoffs. That first time didn't go so well, but then we had a lot of people on Twitter when I said what to ask you about. They suggested this game, that adrenaline rush in Chicago in that Eastern Conference Finals, what you did to Keith Bogans, all the things that happened in that game. Is that of your basketball memories? Is that one of your fondest? And kind of just take us through that.
Once again, it was one of those things where I beat the odds. It was a Liz Frank injury. I was not supposed to play that year. But the best thing I was able to do that season was I went to practice every day, stayed around the guys every day. When the guys went up to practice, I went to the weight room. Whenever I finished my weight room work, I would go upstairs and watch practice with the guys every day. So the thing I was able to do was stay engaged mentally, and that helped when I came back. The first game back in Boston, it's a high-pressure situation. My first shot was, I don't even think I hit the rim. It was like all backboard. I still had like 8 rebounds in like 5 minutes, though. So even though people didn't think it went well enough for me. We won. I did my job. I rebounded and I defended. At the end of the day, they ain't paid me to score 25 points a night. So it went well enough for me. Coming back into Chicago, I had already got my feet wet in Boston. Chicago was one of those things where they were physical. It was a physical gap, in the physicality that they were playing with. And it was just a perfect opportunity for me to come back. I had been practicing. I had been working out. There was so much work going on behind the scenes. I didn't just pop up out of bed and go play basketball. So, once I got those jitters out in the first game back against Boston, coming in against Chicago, watching how, the first couple of games went and kind of being frustrated because I wanted to be out there. I wanted to kind of make my impact, but obviously understanding I haven't played all season. Other guys have been playing. I got to wait my turn. When I got in, I was just myself, who I am and what I am.
And I wanted to ask you, moving forward here a little bit, so you guys end up getting to the finals in 2011. Doesn't go so well, obviously, against Dallas. But then the next year, and then the year after that, you win championships. Are there any memories that jump out to you about the 2 games that people think about the most from that era, which would be that Game 6 in Boston, where LeBron scored 45, and the Game 6 against the Spurs in the finals the next year where Ray hits the shot? Obviously, those games have been talked about a lot, but from your perspective, how did you sort of experience those 2 games?
Man, people don't even know. I don't know if this happened on purpose, if it was an accident. We literally arrived to that game in Boston maybe 30 minutes before tip-off. The bus was late, there was all kind of traffic. Who knows if he took the scenic route? We have our speculation. You know what I mean? But when you walk in that locker room, and people that have played with LeBron know this look, and you only know the look if you played with him. We looked at him, and he was like, yo, we late, there's whatever. He looked at us, and he just gave us this frown and shook his head like, yeah. Me and Dwyane looked at each other and said, oh, yeah. We knew what time it was. It's this look that he has, when he's locked in, and if you play with him, you know it. And he gave us that look, and we knew at that time it wouldn't matter who they had on their sideline or what time we showed up, that we were going to take care of business.
And then 2013 against the Spurs, Game 6, Ray tells him to get the MFing ropes out of the way.
That's a podcast, Ethan. You can't say it?
Okay, we can say it. Get those motherfucking ropes out of the way.
Thank you. That's what I thought. That's what I thought.
So Ray tells me to get the motherfucking ropes out of the way. That entire experience there, when you look back at it, some people think it's the greatest basketball game that's ever been played in the NBA.
Great, in my eyes, the greatest shot I've ever seen. Greatest shot. But he practices that shot over and over. I mean, Ray literally will lay down flat on his back, jump up, backpedal to the three-point line, and shoot the ball. Like, he practices those kinds of shots and those kinds of drills. But that's probably the greatest shot that I've ever witnessed in a basketball game. With the pressure, the degree of difficulty, backpedaling to get his feet behind the line. There was just so many things that happened in that short period of time.
When you look back at the entire Big Three era, you guys win 2 championships in 4 years. You reach 4 finals under immense pressure. You were dealing with a media crush like no team in history has ever dealt with, in my opinion. When you look at it, nobody. Is an overwhelming success for you? Is that how you view it? Like, when you sort of classify, how should we remember the Heatles?
Oh, wow, that's a great question. Like the Heatles, we were the show. At that time, we were the show, but it was a different show, different than the Golden State show. And that's not hating on Golden State. I'm happy for them. That's the success that they're having. But everybody seems to like them for whatever reason. Nobody really liked us, so we were the show. Whether you loved us or hated us, you was coming to see us regardless. That's one thing about it. Whether you liked us or didn't like us, you were coming to see us regardless. That's why we gave ourselves the Heatles. We were the Beatles of basketball at that time. You know what I mean? And we were remembered as an exciting team to watch, a fun team to watch. We competed. We played defense. We pretty much had everything that you needed. We had shooters. We had playmakers. We had role players. We had it all.
I wanted to get to this one, and this has been requested by a lot of people on social media. So I'm going to give you 4 names here, UD, because, if you go on Twitter, you'll see these videos of you basically telling guys on other teams how it's supposed to be. So I'm going to give you 4 names. You tell me who you were angriest at in these situations. We've got Zaza Pachulia, Lance Stevenson, and I got to know, Chris and I have talked about this. We have to know what you told Lance when he was going at LeBron during that game. We have to get a general idea of that. David West and Tyler Hansborough. So those are your 4 names: Pachulia, Stevenson, West, and Hansborough. Who made you the angriest in those situations?
Probably Hansborough. You see who got the worst of that? Hansborough, for sure. Hansborough. But you know what? The thing that sucks about Hansborough is he got what he deserved, but he got a little bit of what I wanted to give to the other boy with that ponytail. What his name is? The other kid that gave me stitches the game before.
Amundsen. Yeah, he played for about 13 NBA teams. Lou Amundsen, that's right.
Yeah, but he, the game before that, he had just caught me with one and gave me stitches, and then I took mine like a man, and I came in and actually cooked their ass, and we won that game. That's when I started making all those shots down the stretch in the fourth quarter, and we won that game. But people don't know, if you watch the film, when Hansborough hit Dwyane, him and Munson gave each other 5 afterwards, as they was watching the play or whatever. Dwyane was getting stitched up or however it went. Him and Munson slapped each other 5, on you did something right, good job type shit. I was like, oh no, you already got me. Now you getting him? I mean, no, we ain't coming. No, we ain't listen. If we lose a basketball game, that's one thing, but we ain't finna take no ass whoopers. That's what we not finna do. So it was a timeout. We went over to the huddle. Spo looked at me and I just immediately told him, Spo, stay out of this. Let this happen. It's going to happen. I did not know it was going to happen the very next play. That was God's plan. That wasn't my plan. That was God's plan, because he set Hansborough up on a platter for me. I'm like, is it? And it's funny because it happened so fast, but in my mind it played so slow. Because I actually thought about, should I do it right now? Because it's right after the play where Dwyane got hit, so it's going to be obvious. And I had enough time to say to myself, this might be the only chance you get. And I just took it.
So there are stories about you coming back on the team plane and getting applauded for this, or that you were flown in for Game 7 and that you were applauded. So what was the reaction of your teammates once they had to kind of, let's put on a face for the cameras? In private moments, how celebrated was that?
I got the game ball. I don't know if it was necessarily celebrated for the physical aspect, as to more so just me being a captain, me being a hell of a teammate, and me doing what was necessary to help my guys win. And that was something that needed to be necessary, man. Listen, if you beat us in basketball, that's fine. The Spurs beat us in basketball in the finals. They beat us in basketball. What you're not finna do is you're not finna just beat us up and kick our ass, and that's not gonna happen. And I felt like in that series, Indiana thought the way to beat us was to be more physical than us and beat us up physically, and that just ain't gonna happen on my watch.
All right, so the last thing here on Indiana, and then we're going to close. Lance, can you tell us what you said to Lance? Because that thing is still all over the internet right now. I mean, I've commented that LeBron's had a couple guys step in for him in Cleveland, but not like you did for him in Miami. So can you give us a little idea of that?
Yeah, I can tell you exactly what I said. I told him, listen, I ain't got nothing to lose. I'll fuck you up.
Brilliant. Fantastic. That's all we need. As far as I'm concerned, everything we needed to get out of this podcast and more has been achieved.
Welcome to the Heat Beat Podcast. I'm your host, Giancarlo Navas, and here at Heat Beat, we talk all things Miami Heat, from the absurd.
The last time I saw Dion, I want to say it was early March. He was hanging out in the locker room, and he looked like he put on a few pounds. So I know you guys are all excited about that.
To the serious.
Wayne Ellington in particular was just getting caught on a screen for multiple seconds, and that puts so much strain on the rest of the defense.
With guests ranging from some guy on Twitter named Kevin to ESPN hosts like George Sedano, we have a little something for everyone and anyone. Check us out every week here at the 5 Reasons Podcast Network, or find us on Twitter at MIAHeatBeat for all our updates, pods, and videos.
Hi, I'm Chris Joseph, and right next to me is Slim. And we run this podcast called The Balls Cast that's right here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. And we're very funny, and we're very charming, and we're very talented. So you should listen to us every week. In fact, we have all these kinds of segments like Don't Be an Ass, where we talk about you shouldn't be an ass. We have Beans Up Top, where we talk about sex and sexual relationships and how you can be better at that. Yeah. We also have all kinds of cool guests. We had the president of the Dolphins. What's his name?
Tom Garfinkel.
I'm sorry.
Jesus.
We had David Sampson on. We have good guests on this show, and we have skits and sketches. It's great.
And we have cool-ass giveaways, man.
Yes!
We're going to have free wakeboarding session.
Yeah, some
giving
really,
away some
really cool stuff coming up.
Yeah. This promo is probably way too long. Nobody wants to hear it anymore. They've already fast-forwarded through it.
Well, then you deserve to win the stuff if you've listened to this long.
Actually, if you film yourselves listening to this entire promo, we're going to give you some.
All right, let's close with this, UD. Obviously, I know you've got a decision to make. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Can I say one thing? Can I say one thing about this Bron situation?
Yes.
People take everything out of context, and they take things and they take what they want from things. Mm-hmm. I told people before the final, me, Bron, and Dwyane sat down and had lunch, and people took it as I'm saying, I don't know where LeBron's playing that next year. I ain't asked him. I ain't talked about it. When me, him, and Dwyane sat down, we talked about life. We talked about our kids. We talked about business. We in our 30s now. Basketball is not the only thing we talk about. So for people to take what I said or to interpret what I said, I mean, I ain't got phone calls. I'm looking on Instagram. I'm looking at the newspaper. Oh, Dwyane Wade. Nah, man. Okay, yeah, we sat down and eat. Is that a crime? The man swept the team before them. He had time to come down here and have dinner with friends. That's all that was. I don't know where LeBron going. I ain't asked LeBron where he's going. Hopefully he comes to the Heat, but if not, I'm still going to be LeBron boy.
All right, that's a good way to put it there. And so for you personally, I know obviously you've got a decision to make this summer about what you want to do, but I know also you're a businessman now. I know you're proud of that, growing up in Miami and building out everything you've done with the bagel shops, with Starbucks. With Subway and everything you've done with that. In 10 years, what is
you said it right, Ethan. You said it right. Starbucks.
Oh, it is Starbucks. Okay, so let me throw that.
Yes, sir. It is Starbucks. Come on now, Ethan. Tighten up, baby.
All right, how many you got? You got go get.
I got Starbucks.
Go ahead.
I got Starbucks. I got Einstein's. I got 800 Degrees Pizza. I got Subways, and I got NTN.
Wow, that's a lot of properties. You're almost up to Mashburn at this point because I know he's got all those properties.
Man, that's the goal. That's the goal. That's the man right there. I reached out to him not too long ago. I'm gonna sit down. I want to have a conversation.
Yeah, he's done really well. So 10 years from now, UD. Let's close with this. 10 years, what is Udonis Haslem doing?
Man, hopefully running the city. And I don't want to be a politician either. People ask me all the time, you want to get involved in politics, mayor? No, I don't want to get involved in that. But I want to be involved in the city. From the real estate to, the opportunities of franchises, to just be able to touch everything, man, and just continue to build, but not just for me. At the end of the day, if I was to stop right now, I'd be well off and I'd be fine. But it's just so many ways that I realized that I can impact, man. And it's all about just putting yourself out there, man. First, I started out, I didn't trust nobody. I didn't want no friends. Now I look for friends. Now I look for opportunities to meet different people and have conversations, just pick people's brains and just understand how things work, And that's what it is for me. I'll always be a part of the Heat organization. Once again, I said yesterday I thought about playing in Europe or China. People think that I'm saying my thing is I'm just saying this. My mind is open. It's the end of the season. I haven't thought about basketball. I've been thinking about a whole bunch of other stuff, and a whole bunch of ideas come through this head when I'm free. So one day it might be I want to play in China. One day it might be I want to play in Australia. The next day it might be I want to go outside and play at the JCC or something. Like, it's just going to be what it's going to be on that particular day. And then when it's time for me to sit down and make a decision, I'll make a decision, man. But right now I'm all over the place and I'm just enjoying life. And I'm enjoying my businesses, man. People would have told me when I first got into this league that I'll be owning businesses. I'll be providing jobs for family members, for people that grew up with my parents. I'm impacting a whole different level of people that the basketball world wasn't able to touch. And it's on a whole different level. So I just want to continue to do that, man. Those are the things that I'm most important about. When people talk about what I'm most important about, I'm going to sit down one day and I'm going to reflect on all the things that I've done basketball-wise and those accomplishments. But until then, I'm going to continue to build and continue to try to be great.
That's awesome. That's brilliant.
It's terrific, and that's why I voted for you as most Miami, although I won't tell Dwyane that if he ever ends up on the podcast. UD.
Man, listen, let me tell you something, Ethan. Dwyane would vote for me for most Miami, so you ain't getting that wrong.
That's true. That's true.
Dwyane would vote for me for most Miami, so you ain't getting that wrong. The people that voted for him was the wrong ones, not you. Dwyane, my dog, Dwyane, my brother, and I love him to death, but he know who Miami is. You know what I mean?
No, we get it. All right, UD, thanks, man. We're going to post this up on Monday morning, most likely, and we'll tag you on it, and I think people will really enjoy it. So thanks for doing it.
All right, brother. Take it easy, man. Good talking to you.